What the Georgia primary is not is a referendum on Donald Trump, a referendum on the former president of the United States trying to flex his political power. That's what it isn't. But here's how places like CBS are covering the current primary in Georgia. And we'll explain why it's not what they're calling it in just a couple seconds. Watch this.
And in Georgia, the tension could not be higher. President Trump is looking to flex his influence in the Peach State as he weighs a possible run for office in 2024.
They're saying President Trump looking to flex his political muscle because here's what's happening. David Perdue, failed Senate candidate. I believe he was a senator running for re-election, but I'm not. I brain farted here. But David Perdue is also running for governor against current Republican Governor Brian Kemp. Donald Trump endorsed David Perdue way back when, and Pence endorsed Brian Kemp. Now, feelings aside about how you feel about Donald Trump or how you feel about Pence, because people have varying degrees of feelings on these two, this is just straight politics. Like what you saw in that CBS clip, this is President Trump trying to flex his political muscle. It's not what's happening at all. I don't understand this idea of localized elections being a national referendum on the president or the sitting president or whatever it is at the federal level, because that's not what these things ever are. Watch a little bit more from this CBS clip. A guy talking about, I think he talks about total repudiation of Donald Trump. Watch this.
Well, if you believe polling in this state that has consistently shown the governor ahead, the governor's probably going to win this thing and get above the 50% needed to avoid a runoff. It'll be a pretty strong repudiation of the former president who all but forced the former senator into this race.
Yeah, so again, a guy saying this will be a pretty strong repudiation of President Trump. No, it won't, because guess what? President Trump is not on the ticket in Georgia. Brian Kemp and David Perdue are. Now, the polling, if you want to look at it like this, and not to get into the weeds on the whole political thing, I'm so tired of when it so happens that Governor Kemp wins the primary tonight, which is going to happen, you're going to see headlines all over the place saying, Georgia voters hate President Trump. That's not what's happening. They're voting for the candidates that are in front of them. President Trump is not on the ballot in Georgia. And also, considering the fact that Kemp is ahead by 14 points in the most recent poll that took place yesterday. In a Fox News poll that took place last week, Kemp was leading Perdue 60 to 28. Donald Trump has since not made any other personal endorsements, hasn't made any appearances, hasn't done anything with Perdue for the last several weeks. So when you hear articles like this is again from CBS on their website. Kemp has been one of Trump's biggest targets since the 2020 election. Trump blamed Kemp for not doing enough to help his efforts, yada, 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 yada. The Trump-backed challenger is going to backfire. Again, this election is not about President Trump. And all of the elections that go through Congress, that are the Senate, that are governor races, the endorsements maybe have something to do with things. Now, we talked a couple weeks ago about President Trump being like 50-1 or something in terms of like his endorsements. And maybe that makes a little bit of sense. But the broader line here is people who are on the ballots are the people that the other people are voting for. The voters are voting for the people who are on the ballot. So what I'm trying to say is that tomorrow, when all of the headlines, and you're going to see them from the Washington Post, from the New York Times, from CNN, from CBS, says President Trump endorsed candidate loses big in GOP primary, know that that's not the case. Brian Kemp has been up the entire time. A sitting governor has an overwhelming advantage over anybody else, especially in a primary. It's not even going to be close, and it's not a referendum or a repudiation on the former president. I'll stop ranting about that.